So many fun things to do in so little time. Let's see all these fun processes. You don't want to miss it. Don't worry, you can do it. In this video, we're going to see how to use our own photos and images to create beautiful items or pieces that we can make them just for fun or as a gift for someone we like, and even to sell. We can even sell them if they're good enough. Basically, we're going to see different photo transfer ideas, how to make them and how to use them. These photo transfers are going to be on different surfaces using different materials, and you can choose which one you like and would like to try and make it, as I'm going to give you a few nice choices to choose from. Okay, so let's start now. Let's see all these wonderful photo processes. For our first technique, we will see how to personalize and make our own photo ornament, which can be done on different type of materials. I'm going to use an inkjet photo print, but you can also use a laser photo with this technique. And make sure you're printing on a standard printer paper, not a photo paper. The transfer medium I'm going to use is matte medium, but you can use any other gel medium or even glue. Spread a good amount of the medium over the surface. And place your photo face down onto the wet surface. Press it down with your fingers. You can also use the handle of your scissors to press it down and create a good bond between the image and the ornament. Wait a few minutes for the transfer medium to dry a bit, but don't let it completely dry. I waited just about 3 minutes. Next, begin removing and peeling back the top of the paper without removing the image. It's easier to start at the corner by carefully rolling and lifting the paper while making sure the image stays in place. I also like to use a craft knife to remove some of the paper in small areas. So this is what the transfer looks like now. Obviously, there's a lot of paper left over. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to coat the ornament with gloss varnish like this one. I let the first coat dry and then added another coat of varnish. And now all the paper is gone. And if you want to see how to transfer your photo to other type of ornaments, check out this video. There's a link to this video below in the description area. In the next photo process, we're simply going to transfer a photo onto glass and make a cool piece we can display or gift it to someone we like. So basically, we're going to transfer this photo to glass. So this is the photo I'm going to transfer. You can print the image with a laser or inkjet printer. And it's important that you print it on a standard printer paper. And for the glass, you can get it at a hardware store. But I like to take it out of a frame I like, and then when I'm done, I pop it right back in and it's ready for display. You can use different mediums for this transfer, like matte medium, but I'm going to use soft gel medium. And by the way, there are links to all the supplies I'm using today below this video. So I brush a good amount of the medium on the glass. And I place my photo face down into the glass while the medium is still wet. I use an old card to press the print down, remove any air bubbles, and create a good bond between the glass and my photo. Okay, so now I need to let it dry, and normally I will just wait a few hours and let it air dry. But today I'm going to use a hair dryer on low settings. Now that the transfer is dry, I'm going to spray the back of it with water. By the way, I like to call this process 3D glass, and soon I'll show you why. And I start peeling off the back of the paper. And if the paper is dry, you can add more water, and it will help removing larger pieces of the paper. And now I will just let it dry. And next I'm going to wet it again, and this time I'm going to use an artist knife to remove the paper from small areas. I have to say, I love this process. It is so relaxing to me. And by the way, there are more ways to transfer a photo to glass, so check out my other videos. I will list them below.
And if you like these processes, you're going to love my books, the Mixed Media Photography book and the new Mixed Media Photography book. They're both available on Amazon, so make sure to get them soon. And if you prefer to download a digital tutorial, check out the links below this video.
When you're done removing the paper, you'll actually notice there's still some paper left behind. But don't worry, when you seal the transfer with clear spray or varnish, it will also clear up the leftover paper that is still visible over your transfer. Like this one, all the paper is gone. Now I'll show you why I call this process 3D glass. In order to create a 3D effect, I apply a collage layer to the back of the glass behind the transfer. I simply glue the collage material using the same gel medium I used for the transfer. And then I simply place the glass back in the frame and it's ready for display. Here is another example, and in this case I placed one of my gel prints behind the glass. Next, we will see a quick way to make a photo gift for someone using their own photo. This process doesn't take long to make. You don't need any expensive fancy supplies, and really anybody can make it. For this process, you can use black and white or color photo. And you can use a laser or an inkjet print. And it needs to be printed on standard printer paper. So this is the photo I'm going to transfer to this wood panel. And I'm going to use gel medium, but you can also use glue instead. So be sure to check out the links below in the description area. Next, I'm going to cover the photo with a good amount of the gel medium. And by the way, I'm using a black and white laser photo, but as mentioned before, you can use a color or an inkjet photo. And now, while the gel medium is still wet, I'm placing the photo face down onto the wood panel and smoothing it over with my hands. So normally I would let it air dry, but today I'm going to use a heat gun to dry the gel. You can also use a hair dryer on low settings. When the transfer is completely dry, I spray clean water at the back of the image. And now I carefully begin peeling off the top of the paper. The transfer is still not set yet, so it's important to be very careful when removing the paper, so I don't remove parts of the photo as well. This is basically the hardest and the most time-consuming part of the process, but I actually really like it. I find it very relaxing, and I like doing it while listening to a podcast or an interesting lecture. This project from start to finish took me a little less than a couple of hours, so it's not too bad. If the transfer is dry, spray it with water again. And continue removing the paper. Also, I like to use an artist's knife to get close to areas where the paper can be removed without risking the image. Okay, seems like the transfer is pretty much done, so I can definitely call it a day and leave it as is, but I think I like to add some color to it, make it more fun. So I can use any colors now, like watercolors or acrylics, but I think I will use inks. Next, let's make vintage looking art print on a book or dictionary page. The final print can be used to decorate your own wall or give it as a gift to someone. So here is all we need to make it happen. You probably already have most of it at home, but be sure to check out the links to all the supplies we're using for this process below this video. Trim your laser print to size and place it face down onto your book page. It's a good idea to tape down the print so it doesn't shift during transfer. Load the cotton ball with essential oil and apply it to the back of the print. Use a card or a bond folder to apply pressure on the back of the print. And by the way, if you don't have essential oil or it doesn't transfer your image for some reason, you can always use 100% acetone instead. So yeah, we got a great transfer. And once it's dry, I'm going to quickly paint it with my watercolor paints. But you can of course leave it without painting, it will still look pretty cool. When we're done painting, we're going to mount our art print on canvas. I'm using matte medium for this, but you can use any acid-free acrylic glue you have. For the next technique, we're going to use the back of mailing or shipping labels.
I What we're gonna do actually uses heat to transfer the photo. So basically all we need is a standard flat iron. But instead of pressing our clothes, we're going to use it to transfer our image.
First, let's print our image. If you choose something like the back of a contact paper or thin mailing label paper, it's a good idea to support it with a printer paper, or else it might jam your printer. So after you remove the labels, use a glue stick to secure the paper backing to the printer paper. Okay, so now it's important to print on the shiny, waxy side of the paper backing. And we're going to print a mirror image with a laser printer. So here it is. I printed a reverse graphic and text, which I would like to make into a sign. If I like it, it will be for the door to my studio. Okay, so now I place my graphic face down onto the wood and I tape it down with a removable tape on one side.
And if you like this process, you're going to love my book, the Mixed Media Photography book. Check it out, it's on Amazon.
So in order to protect the paper backing, I cover it with fabric. You can also use parchment paper or even an old shirt. And now it's time to use the iron. I set the iron to high heat. It's number 6 on mine. Not sure if all irons are similar. I use the handle of my scissors to burnish the back and help the image to transfer. Looking good. But this side needs a little more work. Okay, and now the great reveal. I think it came out great.
And it's great, now I have a new sign for my door.
Next, we're going to make beautiful, shiny photo coasters using our own photos. Here I have a few types of tiles you can use to make the photo coasters. You can use this marble tile, which is also called travertine. The typical glazed ceramic tile is a good choice. And it's also a good idea to get this cork square to place underneath the tile. Check out below this video for links to all the supplies I'm using today. This type of ceramic tile is unglazed and I think this is what I'm going to use today. It also already came with the cork bottom. Another fun type of a coaster you can use is this wooden tree slice. And speaking of wood, this wood square can make a great coaster. And you can even use a wood flooring sample from the hardware store. I also found these at the hardware store. They are larger, so they can be used as trivets for hot dishes. Now let's see the photo we're going to print and transfer. The photo is going to be a mirrored image printed with an inkjet printer. And it's going to be printed on standard printer paper. You can use your travel photos, portraits, family photos, anything. I also like to add a lot of color to my photos. I use my photo editor to enhance the hue and saturation of the photo. I also crop my photo to a square and hopefully I remember to mirror it. I also make sure to use the vivid colors and high quality printing so my printer dispenses a lot of ink. So today I'm going to use and transfer this photo onto the unglazed ceramic tile. The transfer medium I'm going to use is my favorite one, matte medium. So I'm going to cover the tile surface with a good amount of medium. If you're like me going to use the anglaise tile, you will probably need to use more matte medium. It's really better to have too much medium than not enough. Now I'm taking the photo and placing it face down onto the wet medium. And I'm pressing it down with my fingers. And then I just leave it and let it dry for a few minutes.
And if you like this video, make sure to like it and share it and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to this channel. I make these type of videos every week and you don't want to miss one, right?
I waited for the transfer to dry just about 5 minutes. And now that it's dry, I'm going to wet the back of it with water. Now you see why it's a good idea to use a lot of ink when printing the photo. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the paper, and don't worry because the paper is going to come off quite easily. So all you need to do is very gently begin rubbing the paper off with your fingers. The paper should come off while the ink stays attached to the surface of the tile. Sometimes the paper will come off in one piece, but more often it will peel away in smaller pieces. The most important thing is that you don't rub too hard and peel off the image. Okay, so now that most of the paper is removed, comes the best step, which will make your photo pop. And the next step is to coat the transfer with a clear finish. You can use an acrylic spray or even use fixative. But you don't have to use spray and can coat the transfer with a brush-on finish. For this process I like to use gloss finish, but it's really a matter of preference and you can use the matte or satin if you like. Okay, so now let's go outside the studio to spray the transfer. And while it's drying, let's continue with another one I made earlier in the day. As you can see, it has vivid colors, it's perfectly clear and even shiny. So I could definitely call it a day, but I actually want to add some more personal touch. And I actually want to make it look like previous coasters I made. So basically, I'll have a set. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the dotted border around the tile. And I like to use a water-based white Sharpie with a medium point or a white Posca pen. And I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Next, I'm going to add these glitter flake thingies. Okay, so now the final step, and we're going to coat the tile with glaze. You can actually use this product from Plaid. It's very easy to use and works like resin. I actually like to use this one, which is UV resin and can be cured in the sun for just about a minute. And you can of course use a 2-part resin, especially if you have a large number of tiles to coat. Okay, so let's see how it works. And now let's place it in the sun.
I need a coaster for this.
Next, we're going to transfer our images onto polymer clay then bake it and make our own thing, like a tile, ornament, a pendant, or anything else we want. So this is polymer clay, which is a type of modeling clay that can be shaped and baked. You can use any color or brand for image transfer, so check out the links to all the supplies I'm using today below this video. Basically, in order to use it, all you need to do is knead it, make it soft and nice, shape it, and bake it. Like I mentioned before, we are going to transfer our images onto the polymer clay before baking it. So the image is going to be pretty much embedded in whatever we choose to make when we bake it.
I like to use cookie cutters because they're inexpensive and easy to get.
Use a laser printer to print a mirror image of your photo. I'm going to cut my image to the size I want, which right now is just one bird. So for the first transfer method, we're going to use just water. Yes, this works just like magic. I simply use a brush to apply a little water on top of the clay. And then place my image face down onto the wet clay. And I rub it down a little. I then apply water over the back of the image. And I use the other side of the brush to lightly rub and burnish the image. If you don't have a brush, you can just tap the back of the image with your fingers. And now let it dry for at least an hour. I have another one here that is already dry. The paper comes off so easily and the image is transferred to the clay. All you need to do now is bake it according to the instructions on the package. You can also use varnish to protect your piece. And basically any tool you have to create a small opening in your pendant. If you want to see more ways to transfer your photo to polymer clay, check out this video. There's a link to this video below in the description box. Next, we're going to make handmade greeting cards using our own photos or images. For this transfer, you need 100% essential oil, nice watercolor paper, a pair of scissors, cotton ball, and a burnishing tool. I'm going to use a bone folder, but you can actually just use a spoon. And of course the image we're going to transfer, which is printed with a laser printer. I have here different kind of papers that we can use, like this cold press watercolor paper. Most of these papers are 100% cotton, acid-free and archival. This handmade paper will make a beautiful greeting card. And same goes for this one. This paper pad is hot press watercolor, which means the paper is smooth and doesn't have a rough texture. But if you like it, it's just perfect too. I'm going to use my favorite paper, Canson Edition Antique White watercolor paper. And since it's larger than what I need, I'm going to trim it down. And in order to keep the rough edges, which I like very much, I'm not going to use scissors or paper cutter. So this is what I'm going to do. I fold the paper and I press it down to create a crease. I turn it over and press again. I press down a metal ruler along the fold and gently tear the paper. And I got the lovely rough edge. The size of the paper we need is roughly 7 inches by 11 inches. But of course you can choose to make larger or smaller size card. Now I fold the paper in two to create the card. And I'm going to transfer my image to the outside of the card. And this is the image I'm going to transfer. I know it looks like an illustration, but it's actually an original photo, which I edited in my photo editor. So I cut around the image, but I leave a little border around it, so I can easily tape it down. So I place it face down, and I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't move around during the transfer. It's a good idea to use low tack tape or even removable tape, so it's easy to remove when you're done. Now I'm gonna apply my favorite essential oil, eucalyptus oil, to the back of the image. So now that I can see my image through the paper, I'm going to burnish it with my bond folder. Okay, I think the image is now transferred to the card. And since my original image was cropped in a weird way, I'm going to use a dark pencil to adjust and fix it a little. We're going to transfer some text to the inside of the card. You can of course use your own text, but I decided to download some text I found that had a really cute design from freepik.com. And I guess I forgot to mention, but you need to print out a mirror image of your text or any image that you're going to use. So there you have it. We made a cute little card. Now, if you feel adventurous, you can try coloring your transfer. I like to use soft pastels coloring pencils. And for this one I chose light brown watercolor paper. And again I use soft pastel pencils to color it. Here I transferred an image without leaving a border around it. And this card was made with handmade paper. And finally the same image, but this time on a smaller size card. And of course you can always transfer a color image. And in the next video, we're gonna learn how to achieve this effect. I think it looks like a charcoal drawing. So make sure to join me in the next video.
I really hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. I hope so. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to try any of these fun processes. I, of course, had a lot of fun putting together this video for you. And if you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. You don't want to miss it. Someone we like as a gift, or I lost my train of thoughts. Book. Okay, that doesn't make sense. No. And if you like these processes, you're going to love my books, the mixed media photography book and the new mixed media photography book. Don't worry, you can do it too. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.